You know those auditions or callbacks when you go into the room and you leave and you think, I don't even know what just happened. If you're struggling with confidence as an actor and you want to hear my experience, I have a ton of videos on this channel where I talk about acting and callback and sides and acting your song and auditions and submissions and all of the tactical things. But these points, these elements that I've infused in my life and career the past 2-3 decades are the reasons why I am still living a happy, joyous life in this industry. Point number 1 of how I have gained confidence in my career as both a human being and an artist is humility. Something that I think a lot of people take for granted is how humility allows you to see your weaknesses and find solutions to your weaknesses. And let me give you an example of the opposing side of this. If you are arrogant, without even meaning to be arrogant, but if you take that attitude of arrogancy into an audition room, into a rehearsal, into a show, whatever it may be, it allows you to not see clearly your weaknesses or the elements that you can work on to better yourself as an artist. Once you're able to see those weaknesses, you're able to find solutions, you're able to problem solve, you're able to figure out ways that you can improve so that the next time you walk in a room, you don't, your dance audition isn't as wild because you're not picking up the choreo fast enough, or you're able to lower your anxiety and do a different preparation before you walk in the room, or you're able to lengthen the intro to your audition song because it didn't give you enough time to really settle in and create that moment before. You honestly have to have humility to be able to see these weaknesses that you really do want to improve and change. When I was first starting out in my career, I was able to recognize that I was not being looked at as leading supporting roles, the roles that I really wanted to be considered for. I wasn't being seen or considered for them. And that's hard. I could have been arrogant and I could have said, you know what, it's their fault. They don't see me for it. They're missing, they're missing out. But instead, I was able to say, okay, these auditions I'm getting seen for, I'm not getting considered for what I want to be considered right now. So what do I need to do to improve so that eventually I can be seen for them? And what that humility allowed me to do is say to myself, okay, I know that my strengths are supporting roles, featured roles in the ensemble. I know that I can read music, I'm great with harmonies, I can pick up choreo, and I can be a valuable member of an ensemble. And I can play the roles that require some featured acting because I've got training in all of that. And I'm really good at that type of a role early on in my career. I was also able to say the reason why I'm not being considered for these other roles is because I'm just not really figuring out how to prep for myself for callbacks. It wasn't something I was taught. Like most of us in our training early on, I wasn't taught actually how to take the skills that I learned and apply them in a room with anxiety and stress and memorizing and how to prepare sides and how to do them from my authentic perspective. And so I knew that that was something that I had to work on. So I spent a lot of time figuring out my method and trying and testing out new ways that I could feel comfortable and confident in the room. And that took me a long time at the beginning of my career to kind of figure that out because I didn't have the tools necessary to know how to be confident in the room for those callbacks. But I was able to stop and say, okay, you know what? I'm getting cast. I know what I am getting seen for. I know what I do really well right now in my career. And I'm going to work on the weaknesses that I have or the points that I feel like aren't landing in the audition room for callbacks for leading roles. I'm going to work on those. That is honestly the way that the path to having confidence and to building a career that you enjoy, both for yourself, but when you're in the room with people. And we all go through those moments of, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I feel like I nailed that audition and that callback, but I didn't get cast. And those are really challenging times, and the lows are low and the highs are high. And I talk about this with my clients all the time. And when someone's going through a low, We work through it and talk through it and get them a focus and a goal moving forward so they don't just sit in that. But you have to be able to have humility to say, this is where I am right now. These are my strengths. These are my weaknesses. These are the things I need to improve on to accomplish the goals that I want to in my career. I'm going to be honest with you. By having humility, it's going to allow you to have a more enjoyable life outside of this career, because it's going to allow you the mindset of, I'm not the victim. People aren't not seeing me and not thinking that I'm worthy. I'm just doing what I do best in the room. I am confident with what I did. It may not have been my best today, but I did the best I could with where I am today in my career. That right there is honestly the biggest turning point for me when I was able to finally do that early on in my career. I don't want you to wait. I want you to find that within yourself today. Okay, next point of how I have been able to confidently cultivate a career in this industry as a musical theater performer. Resilience. I say this all the time. I am not surviving some career that is horrible because I chose this career. I chose this. This was not someone pushing something on me. I said, I'm going to be a musical theater performer and I'm just going to figure it out and I'm going to do this thing because this is what I want to do with my life. So I just find ways to thrive. And when the lows are low, I focus on something that truly brings me joy until I get to the next high. Here's the biggest mindset shift that I could tell you if you want to find confidence in your career. You cannot think of auditions and callbacks as rejections or no's, or I am not being seen, or I am not being considered worthy. Once you make that mindset shift, it really truly does affect you on a day-to-day basis. Because if you go into every single audition and if you don't hear anything and you take that as a no or a negative, it's going to be a really long, drawn out career of depression and anxiety. And I don't want you to have that. So I want you to flip your mindset, okay? Flip your mindset to, I get to go in and have a free class. Every callback is a free class. Every time you submit a tape is a free opportunity for you to test out a new technique or a new method or a new song. And you never know where those tapes that you're sending out into dark black holes, every single time you do that, you're working on your craft. You're practicing your craft. Yes, I get it. I get that it's time consuming. It takes a lot of energy and we don't get paid for those things of auditions and callbacks and submissions and all the other things that we have to do. But I would rather say, okay, this is what I got to do to get to where I want to go. I am going to be flexible. I'm going to be resilient along the way. And I'm going to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do for myself as a human first and taking care of myself so I can be the best that I can be on that day, on the tape, in the room, in the Zoom room, whatever it may be. You know those auditions or callbacks when you go into the room and you leave and you think, I don't even know what just happened. That was a thing. Okay. We all have those moments. Nobody's ever going to walk out of every single audition and think, wow, I was perfect. I am so absolutely confident that everything I did was supported by acting technique and dancing and singing. It doesn't happen. Okay. So when you have a bad audition or a bad callback, the best thing you can do is to leave, do something for yourself that changes up that energy or that thought that makes you feel good. Visit a family member, go take yourself out for coffee, go walk around the park, literally do something for yourself to find a little joy in that moment. And I'm not saying ignore the feeling, okay? We all know it's going to linger, but go celebrate your win of actually showing up in the room, whether you fell on your face or you weren't prepared enough and you have to fix that for next time and find a solution. You have to have the resilience to say, okay, didn't go as well as I planned. Something else came out of nowhere, couldn't control it. Next time, I'm going to try this instead, or I'm going to find a way to lower my stress level in that situation, or I'm going to find a way to say, okay, I can't control what you are asking me to do, so I'm just going to try to attempt that triple pirouette as best as I can. I'd love to know in the comments below, let me know what is the number one thing that you feel like is holding you back from moving forward in your acting career. Okay, next element of building a career with confidence and building the confidence as a performer in all aspects so you can sustain a career long term. This is a big one. There are so many performers out there that think the only way to success is to be on Broadway. Only you can define what success means to you. Sure, do we all want to be on the Broadway or off Broadway or our favorite regional theater, wherever it may be, or on the West End? Like, absolutely. There's no question about that. But that does not define you being successful or not. This is one of the most important things that's going to help you gain confidence, is for you to think of what makes you happy in your career. What are your goals? And then every 6 months or every year to go back, analyze all of the data that you've collected from your callbacks, analyze how you've been doing, what results you've been seeing, how you've been moving forward or not moving forward, and then rethinking what's the next step. Also, just to tell yourself that every single year you're going to grow as a human. Where I was 10, 20, God, even 5 years ago is very different than where I am now as a human and what I want to be doing. So it's about rethinking every single 6 months, every single year, is this truly what is making me happy? And if it's not, what can I do differently? All I care about is how I think and how I feel when I get up in the morning. Because all of those people on the social media, or all of those mentors or those naysayers or those haters that told me a long time ago, you should just go be a teacher. Like K through 12, you should just teach theater. And I said to them, I don't want to do that. And they said, but really, it's going to be too hard for you to make it in this industry. Okay. Rethink what makes you happy. And when something's not working for you, you're in New York and you're not happy because it's not a lifestyle you like. Rethink it and make a shift. So, rethink, readjust, and revisit your goals based upon how you define success and happiness. And don't worry about what society thinks, which takes me into the next element that I really want to share with you. And it's a big one. Listen to yourself. This is by far the number one way that I have been able to live a life that truly makes me happy based on my own terms. And I've been doing this my entire career. Our career is really, truly being an entrepreneur. Honestly, it is. Listen to yourself and what you want to do in your life. If someone is saying to you, you have to go to New York because that's where musical theater is, and you're sitting there thinking, I don't want to live in New York City, you can always go for a month or two and try it out and test it. I'm always talking about testing to my clients. But if you don't want to, you don't have to do what someone else tells you. You have to listen to yourself. If you're sitting there going, you know what, right now in my life and my career, I really want to live in this area and I want to focus on these regional theaters. And it doesn't matter to me if I am equity or if I'm working at an equity house. I want to do these types of shows. I want to live in this area and this is what's going to bring me joy. Fabulous. You have to say, this is what I want and I don't care what society says to me. Being a woman in this industry, you're going to, and I can't speak for anybody else, all I can speak for is my experience, but as a woman in this industry, I have been told over and over again, you need to settle down, you should be a full-time professor because I left that, at least for temporary, for a lot of toxic reasons, and you need to have kids, and I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to have kids. I don't want to be settled down somewhere. It truly does not bring me joy and happiness, and I know that. And if I listen to everybody else tell me what I should be doing in my career, I would not be where I am today. I would rather say to myself, I am happy with where I am now in my life, than look back on the last 10, 20 years and go, wow, I wish I had really kept going for my dreams. I really wish I had tried that instead. I really wish I had listened to myself and kept auditioning and performing and been able to work through the anxiety and the stress, or be able to rethink where my career is, rather than sitting here going, I am so unhappy doing what I don't want to do just because society tells me this is what you are expected to do. Wake up in the morning and say, today's going to be a great day. I'm going to figure it out. I can do this. And I am happy with who I am and where I am right now in my life. And if I'm not happy in the next month or two or year, I'm going to rethink it. That truly is finding confidence as a performer, because you are confident and you are happy as a human being first. But the most important thing for you to have confidence in your career and sustain a career in an industry that is very, very challenging and emotional is for you to wake up every day and say, good morning. I'm happy with myself. I know it brings me joy, and I'm going to keep moving forward and making sure that I'm taking care of myself. So when I get into that room, I can give you the best me that I can as an artist. Grab your coffee, have a great time, and I hope to talk to you in the next video. Okay, cheers.